Hello and welcome back to Big Conversations. It's your monthly magazine show where we talk about everything. We have some in-depth, real conversations about lives, about what's going on in our community. So far tonight, we've had Damlola Dedeji talk about hair. We've had Femi Tayo and Tundu talk about our money, your money. And now we have Giselle. She's going to be talking to us about what's going on at Edmonton City Council. If you are new to the show, can we kindly ask that you like, share, and subscribe? What we get for tonight is your subscription. We hope you subscribe to our channel. And to find out more about us, our magazine is out. This is our latest magazine. You can read it all for free at www.ladiescorner.ca. Without much ado, here is Giselle as we talk about Edmonton City Council. Happy New Year, Giselle. Thank you so very much for coming on the show tonight. I think you're muted, dear friend.
All right, let's try that again. Hello?
Happy New Year, Giselle. Thank you so very much for coming on the show.
Yes, of course. Happy New Year. And I hope that all our viewers and supporters are having a good evening and a good start of the new year, actually. And as T said, I would like to welcome you back to our Edmonton City Council segment. I'm your host, Giselle General, and I'm here to share information and insights that might help you if you want to get more engaged and informed about city government so you can make the impact you want to see. Because that's all that we want. We want to have a city with programs and services that works well for our everyday lives. First off is our rapid fire segment. Here's a short summary of what's been going on in the city that I recommend you keep an eye on. City Council has approved the 2023 to 2026 budgets throughout all their debates last December. The result is property taxes increased by about 5% in each of the next 4 years. The capital budget, which is at $7.9 billion, is passed 9 yes, 4 no. And the operating budget, which is about $3.3 billion in 2023, $3.3 billion in 2024, $3.5 billion in 2025, and $3.6 billion in 2026, it was passed 8 yes, 5 no. The resulting tax increases for the next 4 years will look like this: 4.96%, 4.96%, 4.95%, and 4.39%. City Council will have the opportunity to make budget adjustments once a year every fall, which could change these numbers a little bit. Edmontonians who rely on curbside garbage collection can now opt out of receiving the paper version of the calendar. Last year, about 25,000 people, so about 10%, chose to opt out of the paper calendar and started using the digital service available on the WasteWise app from the city. The deadline to switch to digital is February 13th. A 24/7 temporarily emergency homeless shelter in West Edmonton is set up to open, yesterday, January 20th. It is located in the former hotel at 155th Street and Stony Plain Road. This will be operated in partnership with two agencies, the Jasper Place Wellness Center and the Tall Cree Tribal Government. It will open at 30% capacity and eventually it will have 209 spaces, including 59 private beds and 150 congregate living spaces. At Executive Committee this past week, City Council continued their discussion on addressing homelessness. One of the motions that is passed is asking Administration and Homeward Trust to report on lessons from implementing Edmonton's plan to prevent and help end homelessness. And a few updates about snow clearing in the city, because it's still winter. A few months ago, we had a contest, or the city rather, had a contest called Name a Plow as a fun opportunity for Edmontonians to suggest names for the snow clearing machinery. Some of the winners, which were announced this past week, are pretty creative names, such as Connor It and Amerslate Snowhy. The city will start clearing snow and ice off residential roads next week, in order to avoid ruts and the very high windrows that people complained about last year. So for now, people would have to walk through the soft snowpack for the weekend, so I recommend that you be careful. And next, I want to talk about how you can share your insight. Many people in the city want to give feedback so that our policymakers, which is City Council, could consider your perspectives and experiences when making decisions. And I recommend that you definitely do so. There are several ways to share your insight and make your voice heard. And for this episode, I've talked about it sometime early last year, but I think it's a good time to give a refresher on how to contact our elected representatives, which is city councilors for each of our ward, and also the office of the mayor. Now that the 4-year budget decisions have been completed, if you want to give feedback on how these decisions affect you, or give more feedback, especially when tax assessments will be sent in the mail later this year, you can give them feedback anytime. You don't have to wait until election day or before certain meetings. And the handy thing is, all of this information is in the City of Edmonton's website. When you go to edmonton.ca, click the button on the top called City Government and the sub-menu option called Councilors and Mayor. The first thing you will see is a little button, a tool called Find Councilor and Ward. The names of our city wards, so the little districts that we have, they all changed in 2021, but I understand that people are still learning the name of our new ward boundaries. So if you need a refresher on the name of the ward and the councilor who is representing you, you can go to the section called Find Councilor and Ward, type your address, and then you will find the name of your ward and the contact information of your city councilor. In the same web page, you will also see a section called Office of the Councilors and Office of the Mayor. If you decide to click on the link that says Send a Message to the Mayor, it will direct you to an online form where you can type directly your message and your contact information and even attach files. So you don't need to make a new message on your email address. It's a direct message form. The same goes with the link Send a Message to your counselor. But before you can do that, you need to know already which counselor you want to send a message to. And when you do send a message, based on my personal experience, response times may vary. I personally have had counselors who had taken more than 2 weeks to respond. Some counselors take a few days. In some counselor offices, it's the actual counselor who will respond to you. And then when you need to coordinate schedules, let's say for a meeting, then they will loop in their administrative assistant. For some counselors, however, the assistants are in charge of communicating and scheduling the entire way. Next up, I want to talk about City of Edmonton's ABCs. As a refresher over the past few months, ABCs in this instance mean agencies, boards, and commissions, which is a group of people who apply and get appointed to make decisions or recommendations to the city on certain topics. I myself am a member of one, of the Edmonton Transit Service Advisory Board, because I rely on our bus and LRT system in the city, and it is the responsibility of the municipal government. The next ABC on the list I wanted to talk about is the Community Services Advisory Board. This board has two very distinct duties that come hand in hand. First, they are an advisory policy board, but they are also a budgeting recommendation board as well. Their mandate and their advice focus on issues under the category of community services, which is defined as social policy, arts, culture, multiculturalism, parks, recreation, and sports. Their budgeting recommendation duties are very specific. It's not like they can tell the city to spend a lot of money on all different things. They make recommendations on how these two specific funds are allocated. One is called the Family and Community Support Services and Community Investment Grants. I personally have known of local nonprofit organizations who are granted money through these initiatives so that they can continue the work they do for the community. And I think that having everyday people and volunteers who help in a board like this is very important so that input from everyday folks who do not work for the city is considered on a regular basis. And just like many of the ABCs, recruitment of members happen in the beginning of the year where everyone, everyday people like you and me, can apply. There are announcements that the city make when applications are open. And in fact, applications for 2023 just closed last week. It is similar to a job application where you send a resume, reference letters, and create an online account in their portal. So if you're interested and missed this opportunity for this year's cycle, mark your calendar so you can apply early next year and participate in this committee if you're interested. And lastly, I want to talk about our final segment, which is 311 at your fingertips. As a refresher, we have multiple three-digit services for different things that we need, which is 911, 811, and 211. But 311 is for the municipal government, which is a method for us to report issues that we want the city to fix. 311 is many things, or there's different ways you can use it. It's a phone number, an online form, email address, and there's an app. So over the past few months, I have given detailed reports and tutorials on what you can do with the app, how to file a report, how to file complaints, and how to monitor whether your complaint has been responded to. In this episode, I'm talking a little bit more big picture, and I'd like to share the fact, which is a good news, that you can access large data on complaints submitted over the years. You can find this information online on the City of Edmonton 311 page. 311 responds to approximately 2 million inquiries per year, and the online dataset are refreshed 2 times a day, which is great because people require file in complaints at all different times of day and night. If you go to the page online, you will see different subcategories such as the volume of 311 requests, archives per year, and data sets such as by ward, by neighborhood, or topics. This screen over here is a screenshot of what you can see once you have picked a focused data set. And for this example, it would be the top 311 requests by neighborhood. There's a simplified bar graph on the top, and then there are data columns below. And on the right side, you can filter on the different sections there so you can narrow down the information. For example, if you want information only on snow-related reports or litter or vandalism, you can narrow the data. If you are a researcher, statistician, political science student, or someone who just loves working with raw data, you can download these as well. It would be a CSV file, so it would be workable with Excel spreadsheets and all these standard data and information management software. The archive goes back as far as 2014, which is really handy. And I think all these data sets can be a useful testament that many Edmontonians do try to use the proper channels when making reports or complaints so that the city can fix the issues we see around us. The 311 service continues to improve every year, so I highly recommend that everyone use it when you make reports, especially the app because you can actually take a picture of the thing you're complaining about. Not only is it a useful way to document different issues, it helps the city with statistical information that can help with decision making. And that wraps up our segment on Edmonton City Council. I'm your host, Giselle General, your everyday engaged Edmontonian, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you very much, Giselle. Thank you very,
Of
very much.
course.
Yes, yes, yes. Do you want to tell us about your plans for the new year?
Absolutely. It's been an adventurous new year here in my home and in my future goals. As I have mentioned to T before, I have resigned from my career in the nonprofit sector about 6 months ago, and I am making big changes, taking big risks. I would like to give myself a trial run of 1 year to seriously pursue a career in writing. So I'm working on a few books right now, book manuscripts, and I'm trying to apply for funding through the different arts foundations here in the city and in the country to see if they will give me some support so I can focus on completing this work. And my most current project right now is writing a memoir about my childhood from age 8 when my parents and sister were killed in an accident until my immigration to Canada. So the manuscript is on its way, 48 chapters and going, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it on the shelves.
Oh, well, congratulations. That's a huge one to, that's a huge. So what prompted this leap to memoir writing?
The memoir itself has been a project that I have considered for quite some time. However, I'm sure you're aware of all the things that keep me busy, the my career and my community involvement, and even my artistic journey. And I also ran for city council last year, so it definitely has been a hectic couple of years. But over the years, I have always done writing, with the Alberta Filipino Journal and the anthology. So I've felt comfortable sharing insights from my personal lived experience, and I felt interested in taking it to the next level. I have self-published a little bit before, but I have not published a full-length book. So I thought that it would be a remarkable experience. I think that there's a lot of room in the book industry and in the entertainment industry to learn more stories of different people from all walks of life, and I'd like to take up that challenge. And one significant thing I've learned recently is different organizations are available to support aspiring artists and writers, like the Writers Guild of Alberta and the Canadian Asian Arts Network, which was formed just last month. And I joined them up, and they're helping me a lot in this journey.
That's very interesting. I know if you have dreams that you want to accomplish them, Alberta is like one of the number one place. It is the number one place to get whatever dream you have achieved. So I'm wondering if you're writing, it means you're also reading. Could you share with us what your reading list is going to be like for this year?
But I'm really fortunate that because of the mentorship program I am with right now with the Writers Guild of Alberta, I am paired up with a author mentor, an actual accomplished author in Canada named Wendy McGrath, and she's given me a pile of books to read. So that's been keeping me busy, and some of them. I guess my reading list right now is categorized into two things. So first is specifically on the nuts and bolts of writing. So she lent me the book called The Art of Novel. She recommended the book The Art of Memoir by Mary Carr, which I finished already. The book On Writing by the accomplished novelist Stephen King. And on thanks to the Edmonton Public Library and the app, I've also borrowed a lot of memoirs because it's really fascinating to observe how other people have narrated their life experiences. And I also have a pretty long list as well over there, such as The Liars Club by Mary Carr. So it was really cool to see her memoir and her book teaching how to write a memoir. I really, really love it. I'm borrowing a few books written by Filipino authors, such as Tony's Wheels by our very own writer in Edmonton, Mila Bongkog Flipsic, and there's a few more. It's all on my phone. Ebooks are really fantastic that way.
Lovely. Yeah, I was just curious. One memoir that everyone is talking about is Spare by Prince Harry Windsor. Have you been able to read that memoir yet?
No, I haven't, and the reason why is I think what the types of memoirs that really interest me are the memoir like I learned this term from one of the how-to books I have read on writing a memoir. There's a term called of people like myself, I suppose, called the relatively unknown people. So the people who are not celebrities, not royalty, not athletes. And I think there's particular art and unique kind of beauty in learning about the lives of everyday people who have suffered a lot. So I think that resonated more with me because I think it's a bit more relatable. I've heard a lot of commentary about the Princess book, but right now it's not in my list. I suppose the latest memoir of a popular person I've read, which I thought was amazing, is "I Am Malala" by Malala Yousafzai. Because she immigrated from a country from the global south and had a lot of hardships in her life. Even though she's now famous because of all her activism work, there's still a lot of her stuff that resonated with me. But frankly, I don't think the hardships of a British royalty would resonate with me at this point.
Hmm. I hear what you're saying. I
Yes.
absolutely hear. But you know, our lives, or my life, I say, is boring enough. Sometimes you need juice from America, you need juice from the United Kingdom to keep it just
Yeah.
a bit fresh and spicy.
Well, it's
Um,
actually remarkable how much, I guess, if we can choose the word drama, like how much interesting and fascinating insight or lives everyday people face. So yeah, it's some of the hardships I have read in the memoirs of this, I guess, like relatively unknown people are quite horrible, frankly. And I think, yeah, it was interesting reading them. It's interesting how they describe their experiences, and I figured that would be more useful in my own journey in completing this memoir myself.
I mean, the one book you mentioned that I've seen around, which I'm going to lay my hands on, is I Am Malala. The book I'm reading right now is Malcolm X. It's
Oh,
his autobiography as told to Alex Haley. It
oh
is a
my.
very compelling and in many parts difficult, but I hear what you're saying that, you know, the stories of people who are unheard of, you know, resonates maybe with more people than the rich prince who's living out in California. So I hear you there. I hear
Yeah.
you there.
You will love Malala's book. And you know what surprised me? I mean, I'm probably revealing my age this way, but Malala is a millennial like myself. Like she's not that much younger than me, which I find really remarkable. And it's interesting when you hear about like activists and people who try to make an impact in the community, and you can't help but sometimes put them up on a pedestal. But when I read her book, there's so many everyday things that a young girl or a young teenager worried about that I worried about in my younger years as well. But of course, she had these additional complications of the socio-economic political realities of her life. But turns out we like the same movies and we worried about being top in the top person in school, and culture shock in a western country is also weird. And I found that really remarkable combination. I borrowed it digitally through the Edmonton Public Library app. So that's one option. If you're okay with reading through your phone, keeps me off of social media so that I don't stay there too long. So ebooks on the phone are really handy.
No, I read on my phone. Libby is an app
Oh, that's what
one.
I have.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent.
I swear by it. You know, it's really, really good.
Yes,
Yeah. So thanks for introducing me to that. I've seen a Malala around. That's certainly one that resonates. I'm gonna find. I
yes.
am not a millennial, but I know of her. I've heard about her, and I'm really inspired by the work she's doing and the work you're doing. And
Mhm.
so I should give that a read when I'm done with Malcolm X. Giselle General, I want to say thank you so very much for the work you've put into this episode,
Of
for the work you
course,
put into every episode. And I'm grateful that you're staying on in 2023, giving us
absolutely.
the tidbits, the juicy bits of what's happening at Edmonton City Council. So thank you very much, and please enjoy the rest of your Saturday night.
My pleasure, and thanks for all the work you do. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you, Giselle. You too.
Thanks. Bye.
Mhm. So that was Giselle General giving us a lowdown of what's going on at City Council.